This is MC of Healthy by George. I come every Thursday and Sunday. And this Sunday, I would really love to talk about my experience going to the physio lab. If you come here on Thursdays and Sundays, please think about subscribing. I'd love to see you here. I just love sharing and educating about all the things with regards to health and wellness as we get older. So today, what I'm wanting to talk about is this thing called body composition labs or a physio lab. Sometimes these are more known for being what's called a sports performance lab. But as things have become more and more useful, we've learned how these tools can help us. These other labs are popping up at high-end gyms, fitness centers, wellness centers, or, some kind of metabolic testing clinic. Mine was at a physio lab that's available through my institution. They do a lot of this for research, but many endocrinologists like mine recommended that I go there because of the issue of my body composition. Now, many of the research studies that have been done in these new weight loss drugs, GLP-1, GIP inhibitors, have shown that you're losing muscle and fat. I was really concerned and I wanted to understand more about what was my muscle density, what was my current fat, and if I'm going to go forward, what would be the way to understand my muscle to fat ratio? One of the other problems that I've always wanted to solve was what is my resting metabolic rate? Many people just sitting around and doing not much anything except breathing and minimal activity. I think they typically burn somewhere between 15, 16, 1700 calories just to rest. Not me. No, I'm burning like 1400 calories. So, unless I am really pushing it with a deficit in calories, or I increase my activity and muscle density, I can then improve my resting metabolic rates. These are the things in the next 6 months I'm going to be working towards. Going to these performance labs. I'm not an athlete, but let me tell you something. I've been heavy all my life. To know if you're losing muscle instead of fat while you're on these GLP-1, GIP drugs and working hard with your food choices and calorie consumption, it would be great to know that you're losing fat and not muscle. As you get older, it's really hard to retain muscle. We have to do everything we can to build muscle as we get older. Many physicians talk about how this needs to be prescribed effort for people who are getting older. The key to maintaining muscle is critical for our continued wellness, our continued functionality, our continued ability to just balance and move around as we get older. And once you hit 70, this issue of muscle loss becomes very, very critical. And sometimes when you've had muscle loss, it's very difficult to gain it back. And that's why they're talking about this issue of muscle loss, because people who've taken a GLP-1 drug who lose fat and muscle, when they come off the drug, they gain fat back and not muscle, because it's hard to gain muscle back unless you're being intentional. So I went to the physio lab and oh my goodness, what did they have me do? First, you had to have nothing to eat or drink for 12 hours prior. You had to restrict any coffee, so no coffee that day, just water, and that's okay. I had to not drink caffeine the day before after 12 noon. So this was very interesting, and basically to wear very form-fitting clothing. The first thing he had me do was get inside this pod. That was very interesting. So I'd sit in this pod, and apparently there's something, I'm not sure what the pod does, measures your fat to muscle or bone density in this pod. That was interesting. It didn't take very long, painless. It's like an x-ray, I guess. Then the really strange thing was when they put this big thing on my face. And it was more like you see those people in airplanes and, they've got these masks on that they're breathing out of. That's exactly what this is. It's this big blue vinyl thing that covers your entire mouth and nose. You're sitting in a reclined position. You're not supposed to sleep, just sit there kind of alert. I had to listen to a conference call, so why not? I got the mask put on, which, as you can see, not comfortable, very uncomfortable. But what it was is it seals off your mouth and nose, and out of this small tube is what they're measuring as you sit there. You sit there for about 45, 50 minutes, and then you're done. And then the test comes in, and guess what? I was really pleased with my test results. I was surprised. According to these Physiolab measurements, I am 65% muscle and bone and 35% fat. Most of the fat is around my hip, butt, and legs. So that's common. But it was really helpful to learn that I have that type of muscle and fat distribution. My resting metabolic rate is 1,430 calories. So if I do nothing all day, I'm only burning 1,400 calories. So that means, I really have to increase my exercise, increase my muscle mass, and do what I can to exercise enough so I'm not having to make such a huge calorie deficit to lose weight. And I also liked that they gave me another target weight for myself versus the weight that I was thinking. This was really a great experience to get my body composition done. Apparently, there are others. One thing I used was called the pod. Not sure how it works, but there is a DEXA scan that you can do the same thing. You can also do something called an in-body bioelectrical impedance. There's also some things where you hold on to something and it measures your fat to muscle ratio. I think that's a type of bioelectroimpedance. I think even if it's just some information, I don't think it has to be super accurate, but I think having some information. So I got my resting metabolic rate, I got my body composition, and now if I get my hip replaced and can do any kind of walking or running, I eventually want to get what's called the VO2 max measurement. And this is something that really determines your oxygen consumption. And this is done either on a bike or a treadmill. And of course, they put this nasty mask on you, Jim. And they're measuring your use of oxygen during this VO2 max. And what they do is they push you to go as fast as you can over a 10 or 15-minute period. But I think it's a gradual push. It's a gradual increase. So that'll be interesting to do. Oh, dear. But there are great indicators of longevity, understanding your ability to use oxygen. And your grip strength is a big indicator of your longevity. With my arthritis in my hands, I don't think my grip is going to ever be too strong. Of course, we all have to take these things with a grain of salt. Aging and how we'll age as we get older sometimes has a lot of genetic compositions in it. But I think the other thing that we really don't give enough credence to is how much meditation and mindfulness can really help us in the long run. So be well, my friends. Think about a body composition process for yourself if you want. Some people, I think it can be overwhelming. I'm one of those people who love information. I can't help it. And maybe this encourages you to think differently. I don't know. It's hard to know, but be well. We have this one precious life. Let's do everything we can to live longer and stronger in both our body and our mind. I'll see you next week. Check me out every Thursday and Sunday here on YouTube, and think about subscribing. I'd love to see you here. Bye-bye. So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey.
Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.